Please welcome to the podium our friend and comrade, Lieutenant Colonel Chris Ballard.
Please take your seats. Good evening. Buckeye Boy State Class 2026, congratulations. You've made it. 5 days ago, many of you arrived carrying suitcases of uncertainty and enough hair product to violate EPA regulations. I saw it. Today, you look a little different, a little more tired, a little more confident, and in some cases, a little more fragrant. Many malls still have soap available, remember that. You survived campaigns, elections, speeches, parliamentary procedure, residence hall showers, and tornado warnings with several hundred teenage boys. I love to see it, though. The bonding molecules of Boy State friendships never cease to inspire. So I'm going to give you a little bit of what I've learned after 22 years on the counseling staff. You young men that sit here tonight are not the same young men who arrived on Sunday. Something has changed. You may not see it yet, but I do, because I've watched it happen thousands of times. I've watched delegates become soldiers, teachers, attorneys, public servants, fathers, and community leaders. And that transformation always begins the same way, with honor, with brotherhood, and with statesmanship. 3 old-fashioned words that happen to be exactly what America needs right now. Start with honor. When I was your age, I thought honor meant the expectation of perfection. Then I joined the Army, and I quickly learned that nobody is perfect. Not sergeants, not colonels, not legislators, not governors, not counselors, especially not Boy State counselors. Honor is not about perfection. Honor is about character. It's telling the truth when a lie would be easier. It's taking responsibility when nobody can force you to. It's doing the right thing when 0 people are watching. Some of my favorite developments to watch this week and in other Boy State programs of the past have been moments nobody will ever put on a resume. One delegate helping another prepare for a speech. A candidate congratulating the person who beat him. The friend encouraging someone to take a chance. That, gentlemen, is honor. Not because somebody ordered you to do it, but because you chose to. Honor creates trust, which brings me to brotherhood. 5 days ago, most of you were strangers, didn't know each other at all. Now you're sharing inside jokes, campaign stories, victories, disappointments, and memories of being in the bathroom until 2 o'clock in the morning last night. You'll be talking about it for years. That's not an accident. That's the magic of Buckeye Boy State. Some of my closest friends in the world wear blue counselor shirts. Not because we agree on everything. Trust me, we don't. Put 20 counselors in a room, ask what time breakfast should start, and you'll witness another constitutional crisis. But over the years, we have built something stronger than agreement. We've built trust, we've built respect, we've built brotherhood. Gentlemen, success in life is rarely determined by what you accumulate. It's determined by who stands beside you when life gets hard. The friendships you build this week may become some of the most important relationships of your lives. My brothers on the counseling staff have stood up for each other and stood by each other as we've celebrated new marriages, new babies, and new jobs. We've held each other up as we've weathered storms, grieved losses, and navigated through the challenges of life. Men, don't underestimate the strength of the Boy State Brotherhood. Take note of what you are building this week. It will change lives. Now let's talk about statesmanship. Politics is about winning. Statesmanship is about serving. Politicians ask, how can I get elected? Statesmen ask, how can I make things better? Politicians focus on the next election while statesmen focus on the next generation. Boy Staters, America desperately needs more statesmen. We need people who can disagree without becoming enemies. We need people who can debate without destroying relationships. We need people who can understand that solving problems matters more than scoring points. And when I think about statesmanship, I think about people who planted trees whose shade they will never sit under. Which brings me to Juneteenth. Hey boys, if you're on your phone right now, I want you to put it down. I want you to pay attention. Tomorrow, our nation observes Juneteenth. For many Americans, Juneteenth commemorates June 19th, 1865, when enslaved Americans in Texas finally learned that they were free, more than 2 years after President Lincoln signed the Emancipation Proclamation. As a Black American, an Army officer, and a father, Juneteenth is not just history for me. It's personal, and it's my history. When I think about Juneteenth, I think about purpose, I think about sacrifice and honor, and I think about the people whose courage made my life possible. One of those people is named Brigadier General Charles Young from Ripley, Ohio. General Young was the third Black graduate of West Point and the first Black officer to reach the rank of colonel in the United States Army. At West Point, his fellow cadets refused to speak to him because of the color of his skin for all 4 years. 4 years of silence, 4 years of isolation, 4 years of proving every day that excellence does not require permission from others. Most people would have quit. Charles Young refused. He chose purpose over bitterness and service over resentment. He chose excellence over excuses, and subsequent generations of Black officers like myself followed. But even General Young's story began with another man. Charles Young's father escaped slavery, crossed into Ohio, fought for the Union Army during the Civil War. One generation fought for freedom. The next fought for opportunity. Gentlemen, that's how progress happens. One generation sacrifices so the next can advance a little bit further. A few decades later, another officer continued that legacy. Lieutenant Colonel Charles Barnum joined the United States Air Force in 1955 as a missile officer. America had only recently desegregated its military, and this Black officer was entrusted with some of the nation's most powerful weapons, the nuclear type. Yet during family trips through the South in the 1970s, he still had to carefully plan where his family could eat, sleep, and stop for gas on the way to visit extended family. Many places still did not welcome Black Americans, yet they persevered. They believed in America, even while America was still trying to live up to its promises. And because of his service, because of men like Charles Young, I stand before you tonight wearing this uniform. Charles Barnum's middle daughter attended Hampton Institute in Virginia. There she met a young man from Toledo, Ohio, and they eventually married. One day they took their young son to see a place called the Emancipation Oak. Under that tree, newly freed slaves in the Tidewater region of Virginia learned that they were no longer property, no longer owned, no longer enslaved. For the first time, they stood as free men and women. Gentlemen, that young boy standing beneath the Emancipation Oak is me. Lieutenant Colonel Barnum is my grandfather. I did not fully understand what was going on all those years ago, but I understand it now. I am here because people refused to quit. I am here because people chose honor when surrender would have been easier. I am here because people practiced statesmanship when bitterness would frankly have been justified. I am here because people love this country enough to help make it better, and here's why I tell you that story. Every one of you is benefiting from sacrifices that you did not personally make. Every one of you has inherited opportunities created by people that you will never meet. And one day, someone you will never know will inherit the results of your choices. That is statesmanship. Statesmanship is sacrificing today so someone else can succeed tomorrow. The men who ended slavery did that. The men and women who ended slavery did that. Charles Young did that. My grandfather did that. The question today I pose to you is whether we will do the same. Whether we will leave Ohio, our specific communities, and our nation better than we found them. Whether we will choose purpose over mediocrity. Whether we will choose service over selfishness. Whether we will choose honor over convenience. Because every generation arrives at its own crossroads. The generations before us stood at the crossroad of slavery and freedom, segregation and equality, division and unity. And you, young men, stand at your own crossroads today. The future is waiting to see what kind of men you choose to become. Gentlemen, in a few days, you'll head home. Most of you won't remember every election result. You won't remember every motion, speech, or speaker. But you'll remember the people. You'll remember the friendships. You'll remember the brotherhood. And years from now, you'll realize that the greatest thing you gained from Buckeye Boys State wasn't an office. It was becoming part of something bigger than yourself. So tonight, I challenge you to choose honor when the shortcuts seem easier, to choose brotherhood when divisions seem simpler, to choose statesmanship where partyship seems righteous. Be the man whose words mean something. Be the leader and citizen who leaves things better than they found them. After spending 5 days with you, I have never been more optimistic that you will lead our communities, our state, and our nation. Thank you to the American Legion for believing in generations of young leaders. Thank you to my brothers on the counseling staff, whose friendship has been one of the greatest blessings of my life. And thank you, gentlemen, for reminding me why I keep coming back after 24 years of service and attending the program in the year 2000. In my career and my life, I have been that man low on honor, chasing a career with not enough Jesus. I've been that soldier with too much work, too much alcohol, and not enough family balance. And I've been angry. I lost my last 34 varsity basketball games, and it took me years to recover. I've lost friends to suicide and enemy fire. I've encountered discrimination, and through it all, God used the brotherhood to bring my priorities back into focus. I am now shaped by the idea of a statesman that strives to leave this place we call Ohio better than we found it. Gentlemen, join me. Let's pull this country together. You have proven this week that honor, brotherhood, and statesmanship are achievable and necessary for our country to flourish. I ask God to bless Buckeye Boys State, God bless the American Legion, and God bless the United States of America. Thank you.